Welcome back. In this tutorial we're going to cover step 1 of our cottage tutorial, and that is creating the exterior walls. So there's going to be 3 documents that you are going to use for this project in general. A couple more than 3, but for right now we're going to start with 3. The first one is Cottage Tutorial Revit, and that's a Word document. And it's going to kind of give you a little bit of description step by step and some screenshots. So we see here step 1 is to create the exterior walls. We need to make a new wall style, and then I'm going to go through how to do that with you. And then the other files that we're going to need are PDFs. And so we've got step 1, exterior walls PDF, and that's going to show us the base dimensions and the orientation, which side is which for our house. So we see that we've got a 43 by 26 foot cottage that we're going to make. And then final floor plan is a set of floor plans that are all of the floor plans you're going to need. So we've got our first floor plan here, and then there are other files that have the other drawings that you're going to have to do. So let's go ahead and go back to Word, and we'll take a look at what we need to do. We need to make a new wall style. So we're going to go down to Revit, and this should be the screen that you see, something along these lines. We're going to click New. This is super important. Make sure that this is an architectural template. If it's not, the ribbon's not going to look right, and you're going to have to restart. So we're going to hit OK, and we're going to wait for Revit to load up. Now what we see is that we're on level floor plan, level 1. And we see that here as well. So these are our elevation view tags, and we want our house to be inside of those. They don't need to be centered. We can move these as we need to, but just kind of remember that we want to start inside of here. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Wall, and then when we go to our Properties pull down, we can see all of the different preloaded wall types that we have. And so what we need to do is create a new wall style. And so in order to do that, we're going to go Edit Type. And then we're going to go to Duplicate. And then this is where we're going to rename our new wall. So in our Word doc, it's listed as a brick on wood stud 2x6. So we can copy and paste that into here, and actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go ahead and we're going to pick a different wall type real quick. We're going to pick an exterior wall, and we're going to pick exterior, let's see, what do we have in here? We have brick, right? So our finished layer outside is brick. So we're going to pick a exterior wall that is brick. So let's just go brick on metal stud. And the reason that we're going to do that, Edit Type, and then we're going to duplicate, make our new wall style. And the reason that we're going to do that is because it's going to more closely align to what we need to do. So let me show you what that means. So when we come in here, if we hit Preview down here at the bottom left of our dialog box, we can see that we get a preview of what the wall is going to look like. And this has a lot more layers than the other wall that we would have worked with. That generic wall was just one layer. So it's just less work for us to have to add boundaries and do all that stuff. So pick that, that exterior brick on metal stud. And so all we're going to do is we're going to change these values to equal what we have on our Word document. So if we zoom in here a little bit, we can see that we've got a finish 1. The numbers in brackets don't matter as much. The thicknesses are what's really important here. So 3 5/8 for our brick. So we're just going to start bouncing back and forth. There's our 3 5/8. We've got a thermal layer of 3 inches. I've got 1 inch. So we're going to go 1 inch here. And then we've got a membrane layer, air infiltration of 0, and then a substrate rigid insulation of 1 inch. So here's our air barrier, our membrane, but we also need on the 4th line to have a insulation. So we're going to insert and then this is going to be a substrate. And then we are going to look for rigid insulation. So we can search that, click it, and hit OK. And then we need that to be a thickness, I believe, of 1 inch, but we'll go back and double check it real quick. So there's our 1 inch with 3/4 inch plywood sheathing, and there's that. So our structure 1, which is what holds the wall up here, is listed as metal stud, and we need that to be softwood lumber at 5.5. So we're going to change our thickness to 5.5, and then our material type to softwood lumber, and then that should match. Then we've got a vapor barrier again here, and then 1/2 inch of drywall. We have the same thing. So our wall is made. We can see our preview here looks very similar to the preview that I have if you want to compare those two. So that's our first step. So we're going to say OK and OK. And now if we notice that we've got our wall style listed here in our properties pull down. So we need to be, according to our PDF, 26 foot and 43 foot for our 2 dimensions for our house. So we're going to start off. Something to note is that the default units for Revit are in feet. The default units for AutoCAD, for those of you AutoCAD users, is in inches. So there's a couple of things that we need to do here. We need to change our wall justification to finish face exterior, and then we're going to change our detail level to fine, and what that's going to let us do is zoom in to see our wall. So I can see, looking at this, when I compare it to our preview, that the thinner section, which is our drywall, is down at the bottom, and our thicker, which is our brick, is up at the top. So that's what we want. So now we've got finish face exterior selected here. We've made sure that we are drawing the wall correctly. So we're going to go 26, and then we're going to zoom out, and then we're going to go 43, zoom out again. And zooming and panning is the same in AutoCAD and Inventor. Scrolling the wheel and pushing in the mouse button will get you to pan. So we're going to go 26. Actually, one neat thing that we can do here is we can auto project. So if you see that blue hidden line that's running vertically, that's going to auto align to the edge, and then I can go up to the top here and close it, zooming in to make sure that my brick is on the outside. Now, one of the things that the way that I have my Revit set up is I have thin lines set as default. If you don't have this selected, your walls are going to look like that. This is actually how my examples look. I really ought to update those, but I highly recommend working with thin lines. It just makes everything that much easier to see. So our last step, according to our Word document, is to dimension the walls, double check, and turn in. So double check that your sizes are correct. So aligned dimensions are over here. We're going to pick the wall faces over here on the ribbon. And now I can pick the outside of my wall, and place my dimension, the outside of my horizontal, and that is going to be my 2 boundaries. Once you are done with these steps, save your file. You are now ready to move on to step 2. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next tutorial.